Right.
Yeah, and when we were talking about this morning before we started this, what we were talking about wanting to get out there is just the information to watch out for. Because again, I think a lot of people would trust an insurance company. And they're going to trust that adjuster because it's a professional person.
Are you in good hands?
Yeah, are you in good hands? Exactly. They think, they maybe think of their own insurance company and in instances that they've dealt with their own insurance company.
Yeah.
But you're an adversary to that insurance company.
Right.
You're a dollar sign. I have a friend, and his quote, I love it, is you would never trust someone who owes you money to determine how much money they owe you. And that's basically what you're doing.
I haven't heard that.
If I had loaned you $100 and then I said, hey, Charlie, how much do I owe you? And you're like, $70?
Yeah.
And I was like, sure. No, that's not how it works.
That's
so,
funny.
That's the kind of the thing to look about it. But, every single thing that you do, and the other thing I wanted to talk about is that they're going to use things against you. Okay. One of the other things that people may get nearly immediately is going to be a medical release. Okay. Which we have to deal a medical release from our clients as well so that we can get their medical records and their billings. But if you do that through an insurance company, it's usually broad, and most of the time it has no definition at all. So lifetime, if they wanted to. If they wanted to spend the money, they could get your entire medical history. So one thing I always tell people is, please, before you sign that, talk to a lawyer because, again, they may pull 5 years of medical records. So one, it's an invasion of privacy. It's information they do not need. It's not relevant. And they're going to nitpick every single thing they find. They may find a pre-existing condition. And if we have a client that has a pre-existing condition, we may share those prior medicals again. But we're doing it with our client's interest at heart, and we're only doing what we need to do.
And we qualify it. We say
exactly. Exactly. They may look back through a medical record and they may dig into, 5 years ago you came in and you had a positive statement that you were using illegal drugs.
Or they just say nothing, right? We've gone through medical records, blanket statement, and a lot of these issues were already here, and there's some other stuff that's
what I'm saying. They may try to pull things out. They may find things that, you went to the ER, and we've seen it all the times where medical records, the dictation from the doctor's wrong. I literally had a client that was beat up at a bar, and his medical records from the doctor said that he was driving on a four-wheeler accident and wrecked the four-wheeler. I don't know if the doctor just messed up his file with someone. Yeah. So you could sit there and tell the insurance company when they ask you, because they're always going to ask you if you had prior accidents, and you say, no, I've never had an accident. I've never had an injury claim against somebody. And they go back and they say, 2 years ago in your ER visit here, it says that you were in a motor vehicle accident. That could literally be a typo. So beyond the privacy ramifications, there's just anything in there they may try to pull out that then you're going to have to combat to try to prove. It's going to create a presumption that you've lied.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so all of that kind of stuff, and then the other thing too is just your conversations with the adjusters. Almost every telephone call with an insurance adjuster is recorded. It usually says it at the beginning of the call. It says this call may be recorded, for quality assurance.
Which everyone's so used to hearing, you just go, whatever.
You're like, whatever.
But it's
sometimes if they're doing like a recorded statement, they will say, this is going to be recorded. Do we have your permission? But that's just because they may try to use that against you in the future. Now, just regular conversations with the adjuster may be recorded that they then will go back and listen to. And again, they're going to use anything you say. It's almost like the Miranda rights. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not in a court of law, but they may use it against you in the handling of your claim.
Yeah.
Again, if if they ask you, you were in this accident, why didn't you go to the emergency room by ambulance? And you may say, well, I wasn't hurt. And what they meant to say was, well, at the time, I had too many other things going on. I was hurting, but I didn't want to go to the ER because I had my 2 young children in the car I had to handle. I didn't want to pull them along with me to the emergency room, or I had to handle this, or I had to handle that, or any slew of reasons. They may have said, I'm hurting, but I don't really feel that bad right now. They're thinking in their head, I don't want to have to pay for this emergency room visit, or I don't want to pay for this ambulance visit. So there's all kinds of reasons that may have, but in that conversation, they may have just said, no, I didn't go to the emergency room by ambulance. And so that may be construed to say, well, you weren't hurt. Why'd you go 3 days later? Anything like that can be twisted.
Just selective, I guess, verbiage or selective, quote unquote, testimony.
They might pull it out of
without context or, absolutely.
So that's kind of, one of the big things. And So again, that's going to be starting from the first conversation, and that's why we tell people, if you get a call, if you're in an accident and you get a call and you're even contemplating, seeing a lawyer, and you should just wait.
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to lose the right to, you can,
in South Carolina, you have 3 years.
3 years. Yeah. 3 years. So,
and if you're worried about your car, I'll tell people too, we've talked about this on podcasts before, that we actually recommend people, if they have collision coverage, to run the actual repair of their vehicle through their own insurance coverage. And that's a whole different, story we could talk about. But if you're worried about getting back in your vehicle, then call your own insurance company. Talk to your own insurance company. I mean, that's not ideal either, but at the very least, talk to them just about the, physical damage to your vehicle and getting it repaired, and then let them go back and get that money back from the at-fault driver's carrier. Yeah. But, limiting the contact is just critical, because everything you say, they're going to use it against you. They're probably going to try to get a recorded statement at the beginning. Again, some small bit that you don't remember correctly or whatever, especially any kind of contested case like a red light, green light, accident, or a turning lane, median lane accident. Those things are so nuanced. You need to make sure that you talk to an attorney, and we can review the police report, we can review scene photos and all that, and kind of, make sure we understand what's going on and advise you properly. And then the other thing too is, in that first phone call, you're probably going to get offered some money. And sometimes they'll even mail a check, and you don't even know what it's for. We've had people come in here and they're like, well, the insurance company mailed me a check. I didn't know what it was for. I cashed it.
Yeah. And then that's,
and then they have a much, much harder battle to get that release voided.
Right.